Hello, I'm the reviewer. You review it, I review you. And this is my partner, Mr. It. It's time to let out our inner geek as we take a look at Spoony's review of Mazes and Monsters.
Hello, everyone. You know, racial profiling is a very serious and controversial issue, calling into question the rationality of our fears, balanced with the unfairness and unethicality of stereotyping others.
Well, already I can tell we're in for a boatload of laughs.
And take it from me, many of those fears are just plain stupid and irrational. For instance, I myself was a victim of profiling for many years, feared and ostracized by my peers at school because I also belonged to a group of people well known for being dangerous psychopathic cultists who practice blood sacrifice and satanic rituals, a rotten core festering in the heart of religious conservative America.
You were a fan of One Direction?
Nerds!
Oh my god, nerds!
The most dangerous enemy of all, infesting every strata of American society, not easily profiled by race or social class. Nerds could be anywhere, meeting in secret and practicing their black masses by playing the most evil, diabolical, unholy game ever created. No, not that one. I'm talking about Dungeons and Dragons, Satan's game. I used to play it all the time at lunch in high school, and the big rumor floating around about me was that I was a Satanist. And when most of my game books had demons on the cover and I was playing with magic cards that had pentagrams on them, well, it didn't really help my case. At one point, I actually got suspended for gambling, and they threatened to expel me if I ever brought my D&D books again, so me and the rest of the group had to play in secret. The other rumor going on about me was that I was gay because I was in drama club, so I was a gay Satanist. I was just positively evil.
Funny, considering how most drama clubs have a girl-to-boy ratio of 3-to-1. Not to mention the fact that all manly things, such as, say, sport, are completely consistent of dudes. Who's gay now, assholes?
Even my mother was afraid I'd fallen in with a satanic cult when she saw me reading the books. But then she met my friends that I gamed with and finally realized just how silly this whole thing really is.
Although nowadays, parents are still scared of their kids playing Dungeons and Dragons, not because they're afraid that they're going to be Satanists, but because they don't want them to grow up to be lazy fat bastards who will never leave home.
It's the same reason that Mazes and Monsters is one of the goofiest, least credible suspense movies ever made. And that's because people who play Dungeons and Dragons look like this. Just look at them. They're the least threatening people imaginable aside from Walmart greeters and the Snuggles Bear. They're just nerds. The most violent nerds ever get is when you disagree with them on who the best host of Mystery Science Theater was.
Either that or who the best doctor is.
And all this media frenzy and paranoia finally culminated in the made-for-TV movie Mazes and Monsters, starring Tom Hanks in his first major leading role. The DVD artwork makes this movie look kick-ass, man. Even though this is a stock photo of Tom taken about 15 years after the movie was made, and, you know, there aren't actually any enormous labyrinths, evil castles, or dragons in this movie. Okay, I guess basically the whole cover's a lie. But come on! Occultism, D&D-style ritual murders, evil nerds! Let's roll them bones and watch some Mazes and Monsters.
Look, we heard a game of Mazes and Monsters got a little out of hand over at the university. 15 seconds, bud.
Oh my god, what? A Mazes and Monsters game got out of hand? Call the National Guard! Elevate the terror level!
Wait, what? Duty calls!
Me.
Mazes and Monsters?
Right. You know how to play it?
My kids play it. I know the game.
Yeah, well, you know these damn kids with their hobbits and their rings of power. You think this Mazes and Monsters game got out of hand? You should have seen it when 3rd edition came out. At nights, I can still smell the bodies in the streets.
I lost 2 friends and a guinea pig that day. Damn you, 3rd edition!
Now, Mazes and Monsters is a fantasy role-playing game in which the players create an imaginary character. These characters are then plunged into a fantasy world of invented terrors.
That's just our Greyhawk game on Saturdays. You want to see real terrors, you should join our Call of Cthulhu game on Wednesday.
Oh, sweet, I'm in!
Then we're we're introduced one by one to the gaming group 6 months before the disaster, starting with JJ, a 16-year-old boy genius who's about to head off to college. And if you're wondering why he happens to be wearing a Germanic army helmet with a chrome spike on top, get used to disappointment, because this is never explained.
Really? Because I honestly thought that was going to tie into the idea of D&D players being Satanists.
I wonder if it's the Mazes and Monsters players we really have to worry about, since JJ's mom is clearly a raving lunatic who obsessively and disturbingly redecorates JJ's bedroom on a random basis. Check out this horror show.
What have you done? It looks like a hospital!
No, it looks like a hospital bathroom, or the inside of a See's candy store.
Yeah, I'm craving chocolate now, too. Want to run down to See's and get some candies? Alright.
Then we meet Kate, who appears to be in the middle of shooting a douche commercial with her mom.
Mom, when Dad left us, were you ever sorry you married him in the first place?
Do you ever feel, not so fresh? Sure. That's why I douche. But only with natural and...
It's moments like these that make me not want to understand women.
So Noreen is boring, huh? Boring is the nicest thing I can say about chlorine.
Kate, she is your father's wife now.
No, you're my father's wife. When Dad left us, were you ever sorry you married him in the first place?
For about 1 minute. But I was really angry. Listen, we had some very happy years together. Life...
Well, I guess it's time for a little game known as...
Try to be invested!
And obviously, Spoony has lost.
We also meet Daniel, a guy who looks and dresses exactly like Fred from Scooby-Doo. He also comes from a white privileged family who doesn't like his decision to go to Grant University instead of prestigious MIT. He wants to design games instead.
Just give me a little more time, okay?
Daniel, this is a very competitive world, and you're going to have to live in it now. Not later, but now. Later, you're not going to be able to find a job. Later, they're going to want the computer expert from MIT, not a game player from that Grant University.
And much later, the Indians and Chinese are going to radically underbid domestic companies for software contracts. So go to MIT now while you still can, because God knows by the year 2000, your computer science degree will be fucking useless, and you'll be stuck at home trapped forever in a hopeless fucking purgatory with a fucking blue robot reviewing shitty movies and horrible Final Fantasy games, and I can't stand it anymore! What the fuck has become of my life? I'm gonna burn this whole fucking place to the ground!
Oh my god, here he goes again! And hold him down!
Ah!
All I know is to take my medicine, I always take my medicine. And I feel fantastic, and I never felt as good as how I do right now, except for maybe when I...
JJ meets up with Kate at Grant University, where they talk about how they need to find a fourth player for their gaming group.
We've got to find a fourth player.
Right. Someone who doesn't flunk out or freak out.
And yes, JJ is wearing an enormous and stupid cowboy hat. Really? Is that gonna be his character thing? Wearing a new stupid hat in every scene? Because I can do that. It's not that funny. Anyway, JJ posts a sign looking for a new player on the cafeteria bulletin board. But interestingly, the sign doesn't have any form of contact information on it. Instead, JJ lurks nearby, watching the board like a hunter. When Robbie, played by Tom Hanks here, stops to read the flyer, JJ pounces in a matter of seconds.
Hi, I'm JJ Brockway.
So they don't want anyone crazy in their group, but JJ's been staking out the bulletin board for days wearing a World War I aviator's helmet and goggles, just waiting for someone to take a passing interest in their flyer. Dude, just have a little tear-off strip with your phone number on it, asshole.
So the dude's impatient. Big whoop.
JJ invites Robbie to a Bridget Bardot-themed party. Don't ask, because seriously, a hard hat? No, that just doesn't make any sense. Someone really has to call an intervention on this hat thing, because we're only 14 minutes into this movie, and you're already pulling this on us?
Me.
Hello, Mr. It.
Me.
It's okay. We're all hadaholics here.
You something. 1987, great year.
You know, JJ should really be more impressed by this, since this scene is set in 1982, and a bottle of wine from 1987 would mean that Robbie brought it back from the future.
Either that or JJ's just humoring him.
Robbie also runs into Kate, and they start talking about mazes and monsters in that way non-nerd screenwriters think nerds talk about RPGs.
I played a game called Mazes and Monsters a little too much.
You're kidding. What level?
Ninth level.
So am I.
Oh.
Isn't it wonderful to be finally creating your own scenarios?
Yeah, and your own fantasies, too. I'm really going to miss it.
Oh, Robbie, you poor bastard. You sound just like me when I was trying to quit amphetamines. See, for Robbie, this just isn't fair. Gamer girls today are relatively commonplace, but in 1982? Shit, finding a girl who could talk intelligently about Dungeons & Dragons was a statistical impossibility. It was like discovering penicillin by accident. So if you were a nerdy guy and you actually had the chance to meet a gamer girl, it was like the holy grail. It was your one chance in ever to get laid. So grades, D&D, and sex...
Well, even though there are more gamer girls these days, they're still hard to come across. I mean, if they weren't, I'd probably have a girlfriend by now.
I am the maze controller, the god of this universe I have created, the absolute authority. Only I know the perilous course which you are about to take. Your fate is in my hands.
Twilight, Nerd Edition.
As you might predict, Kate and Robbie fall in love. So much in love that they even get a sappy frolicking montage. And this is the worst thing that could possibly happen in any D&D group, because there's nothing more annoying in an RPG than two players who are nailing each other on the side. It's just gross. They're always agreeing with each other and having sex. It just makes you want to kill yourself.
You mean like this?
I'm playing a chick.
Dude, are you hot?
17 charisma.
Want to have sex?
Totally.
Awesome. I seduce him. Her. Yes! Oh, I could totally seduce any homophobe with that roll.
Then JJ starts planning ways to kill himself. I'm serious. He just spontaneously decides he wants to die despite never seeming the slightest bit depressed the whole movie up to this point. This is a pivotal scene in the film.
It's gotta be the stuff that legends are made of. I want them to remember J.J. Brockway.
But who will inherit his hat collection?
You, apparently.
And so, determined to gloriously kill himself by dying in a cave, he goes to Pequod Caverns, but suddenly he's struck by a bolt of inspiration, an idea that will revolutionize role-playing games forever. Intentional...
I'd like to propose a new game. Kind of an evolution of Mazes and Monsters, but we'd be playing at a much more sophisticated level. I propose we play Mazes and Monsters in a real setting. Pequod Caverns.
And so LARPing was born. Dignity died shortly thereafter.
Oh, please. Since when do nerds care about dignity?
You are entering the secret mazes of the evil Verations. His awesome wickedness is matched only by the greatness of his treasure. Shall ye enter?
Aye! Yeah, I'm not feeling this one. You guys go have fun getting lost and dying, though.
Party pooper.
They start running around the condemned mine and, like any good adventuring party, split up to maximize their chances of falling down a precipice and being lost forever. That's when JJ starts rolling for random monster encounters.
A monster! A monster! A monster! A Goreville! A Goreville! A Goreville!
The fuck is that? The fuck is that?
Try page 52.